The history of musicians on film goes all the way back, actually, to the very beginning of sound.
Hey, hey, we are the Monkees. You know we love to please. A manufactured image with no philosophies.
We hope you like our story, although there isn't one. That is to say, there's many. That way, there is more fun.
My number one obsession for 1966 was, of course, the Monkees when it came on the air. Less than 2 years later, the Monkees were in their first movie, and it was called Head. Historically, though, Head is an absolutely amazing movie. At that point in the band's history, they had become sensational around the world, but they hated their reputation as a teeny bopper band. They wanted to be recognized as authentic. They said, well, let's make a pop movie that is the ultimate anti-pop movie. So in other words, as an act of self-destruction, it was very, very, very effective. As a commercial consideration, it was a complete disaster. It was an utter disaster. Tommy came out in 1975. In some ways, it was probably the absolute most purely crazy pop music movie since Head. When the band was on tour through 68, 69, what they began to do is to play sections of the opera until it got to the point where one of their sets actually was a more or less complete performance of Tommy, the opera that Townsend had written about a deaf, dumb, and blind boy born during the Second World War who ends up having an incredible affinity for playing pinball and becomes an international celebrity, a kind of a contemporary Christ figure. At the time, the movie was savage. It really was savage. And for a lot of people, the worst thing about the film was that it was so excessive, which is kind of a funny claim because it's a rock opera. Excess is basically embedded in its DNA.
I'm not sure I agree.
With what?
With what you said.
No, I don't either.
You don't agree with what you said?
How do you feel about it?
One of the most interesting careers on screen of a musician, to me, is Art Garfunkel. It's really two films from sort of the beginning and the end of his acting career where I really do think he made an incredible impression. The first is in Carnal Knowledge, which I think was released in 1971. And it is this absolutely devastating portrait of these two men who are inveterate misogynists, skirt chasers, ladies' men, et cetera, and opposite was, of course, one of the early but defining performances of Jack Nicholson.
All right, well, we got the hardcores back together. You're wrapping up the tour now, last night here in Edmonton. You gotta feel great.
Yeah, we had a couple of good gigs, some wild nights. I'm glad people remember us, blah, 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 blah.
Hardcore Logo was first released in the mid-1990s. It was liked. In fact, it was really, really well liked by Quentin Tarantino. As modest as it is, it's also, I think, one of the most Canadian movies of all time because it's about failure, it's about humiliation, it's about traveling, it's about bad weather, and it's about putting men in a position where they have to realize if they do not grow up really soon, they are probably going to die. Far from just being one of the best Canadian music films made, I think ultimately Hardcore Logo ranks as among the best films about music and people's relationship to it that has ever been made.
Don't need no pretty face.